Have you ever been alone, calm, and suddenly felt something strange? Maybe anxiety, melancholy, or an unexpected warmth? The curious thing is, it doesn't make sense. Nothing happened. No one said anything. But that emotional shift is real and doesn't seem to come from you. Carl Jung believed we're more connected than we think, not just through words or actions, but through thoughts, emotions, and symbols. He called it the collective unconscious, a shared network linking all human minds beneath the surface. That's why we sometimes feel things without explanation. Think of someone for no reason, dream of them, or feel their presence. Jung didn't see this as coincidence, but as a sign. Before we continue, let me tell you something important. Keep this video playing, even if you're doing something else. Why? Because your subconscious absorbs what your conscious mind overlooks. Carl Jung dedicated his life to proving this. So even if your eyes are busy, your mind is still listening. Now let's look at the strangest signs that might mean someone is thinking of you, even from far away. 1. You dream about that person. Dreams are one of the most mysterious parts of the human mind. They don't follow rules, they defy time, and often when you wake up, you're left wondering, what was that? Imagine this. You're dreaming about something random, and suddenly someone specific appears. Maybe an ex, an old friend, someone you haven't seen in years. You hadn't thought of them all day, yet there they are in your dream, as real as if they were standing in front of you. Jung didn't see dreams as random noise. For him, they were messages from the unconscious, reflections of your inner world. When someone appears in your dreams, especially if you hadn't thought of them in a long time, he wouldn't call it a coincidence. He'd ask, what does this person represent to you? What unresolved emotion are they bringing? Sometimes we dream of someone because their energy is touching our unconscious. Maybe they're thinking of us, or there's an emotional bond still active, even if we no longer talk. Dreams act like antennas picking up that signal. Have you ever woken up with an intense emotion after dreaming of someone? Their image, voice, or gaze lingers all day. That persistent feeling might be more than a memory. It could be an emotional echo, a sign of connection. Jung believed we don't dream of people for who they are, but for what they represent in our minds. So if you dream of someone repeatedly, it might mean there's an unresolved story or that they're thinking of you. Not all dreams are profound, but when they're vivid, emotionally charged, and appear without reason, it's time to ask, why now? Is it my mind or is there energy reaching me? Sometimes dreams aren't just memories. They're silent conversations between two connected minds. 2. You suddenly think of someone you haven't seen in years. You're washing dishes, walking, or just hanging out when, out of nowhere, someone pops into your mind, someone you haven't seen, spoken to, or thought of in years. There's no obvious reason. You didn't hear their name, see a photo, or dream of them. They just appear, clear and unexpected, as if something pushed them to the surface of your mind. Jung wouldn't see this as a simple coincidence. For him, the unconscious mind is always working in the background, bringing things to your awareness that you haven't fully understood or processed. Sometimes when someone pops into your thoughts, it's a sign that there's an unresolved emotion or that you're still connected to them, even if you didn't realize it. But it's not always about what you feel. Sometimes it's them thinking of you. If someone thinks of you intensely, with nostalgia, guilt, affection, or curiosity, that emotional energy can reach you without words. Jung called this emotional resonance. He believed thoughts and emotions have weight, not just as mental processes, but as living forces that can influence others without direct contact. If you had a strong connection with someone in the past, a subtle bond might still exist. And when their energy activates, your unconscious can detect it. That's why they appear in your mind without warning. You've probably heard it before. I was just thinking of you, and then you texted me. Or, I don't know why, but I remembered you, and then I saw you online. Jung called these synchronicities, events with no causal link but deep emotional meaning. Not every memory matters, but when someone comes to mind suddenly, intensely, with an emotional charge, don't ignore it. Ask, why this person? Why now? It might not be a random memory. It could be a sign they're thinking of you too. 3. You repeatedly see their name or something that reminds you of them. You open Instagram and there's their name. Then you watch a movie and the main character has the same name. You walk by a cafe you used to visit together or hear a song that reminds you of them. At first you think it's a coincidence, but after the third or fourth time, you wonder, why does this keep happening? Jung would call this synchronicity, meaningful coincidences that seem random but carry deep emotional or symbolic value. Seeing someone's name or things that remind you of them repeatedly might be your subconscious responding to an emotional connection that's still open. Sometimes it's your mind processing something unresolved, but other times it's because their energy is reaching you. If someone is thinking of you strongly, with emotion, desire, or regret, that energy can manifest in your surroundings as subtle signs, and you pick up on them, not directly but through the symbolism around you. Jung believed the unconscious seeks balance. If there's something unfinished between you and that person, your inner world projects it outward for you to notice. It's like your reality fills with mirrors, showing you clues, not because you're obsessed, but because something in you or them hasn't let go. These signs often appear when you're emotionally open, like in moments of solitude, reflection, or vulnerability. That's when you're most receptive to the invisible. When you hear that song for the third time, see their name on a sign, or catch something that reminds you of their laugh, you can't help but feel something more is going on. Not everything is a mystical sign, but when coincidences repeat and touch an emotional chord, it's worth pausing. Jung said the soul speaks through symbols, and if their name is everywhere, maybe your soul is trying to tell you something, or theirs is trying to reach you. 4. Sudden mood changes that aren't yours. You're having a good day, everything's fine, nothing unusual has happened, and suddenly, without reason, you're hit with unexplained sadness, anxiety, or deep nostalgia. You stop, try to find the cause, but there's none. Nothing changed outside, but something shifted inside. Jung believed emotions don't always come from within us. Sometimes they're reflections of what someone else feels. If you've had a strong connection with someone, your unconscious might still be linked to theirs, even without contact. Jung spoke of the collective unconscious, an invisible network connecting all humans, especially at deep emotional levels. If someone is thinking of you intensely, with pain, guilt, love, or regret, that energy can spread, and you might pick it up as a sudden mood shift. Your body, intuition, or sensitive side might sense that energy before your mind understands it. It's not magic or mysticism, it's emotional psychology. Emotions project, are felt, and reflect in others without words. Highly sensitive or empathetic people often experience this. They suddenly feel sad, tense, or uneasy without a clear cause, as if absorbing someone else's emotional weight. If that someone was once significant to you, that connection can easily reactivate, even from a distance. Maybe you haven't spoken to them in a long time, but if they're going through an emotional moment and thinking of you, their energy might reach your emotional space without you realizing. Jung called this unconscious emotional contagion. Sometimes we don't know why we feel what we feel because it's not ours, yet we carry it inside. When it happens, don't ignore it or punish yourself for being sensitive without reason. Pause and observe. Ask, who came to mind right after I felt this? What was my body feeling before my mind processed it? Maybe it's not just your emotion. Maybe it's someone who still carries you in their heart. 5. You wake up at odd hours for no reason. You're sleeping deeply. Everything's quiet. No nightmares, no noises. But suddenly you open your eyes. You check the clock. It's 3:12 a.m. You struggle to fall back asleep. And the next night it happens again. Same time, same strange emptiness in your chest. You wonder, why am I waking up like this? Jung believed the unconscious never sleeps. While your body rests, your deeper mind keeps working, processing emotions, memories, and sometimes reacting to things outside you, even if you're not aware. Waking up at the same time without reason might be a sign that your unconscious is picking up something important. Many believe that between 2 and 4 a.m., the mind is most open and emotional energy moves more freely. Jung didn't use spiritual language, but he believed there are moments when the unconscious expresses itself more strongly. If someone is thinking of you intensely at night, with sadness, guilt, or desire, that energy might reach you, and your body feels it before you can explain it. Maybe you wake up with a racing heart, a sudden thought of someone, or just a feeling you're not as alone as you seem. These experiences don't always make sense, but Jung said that what lacks logic can still have meaning. If you keep waking up at the same time with the same strange feeling, maybe your unconscious is telling you someone is connected to you right now. It could be someone from your past, someone you didn't talk to enough, or someone grappling with emotions about you. Their energy touches you without you knowing. You don't need to fully understand it to respect it. Just notice the pattern, listen to your body, and remember, Jung believed the most important signs don't always come in words. Sometimes they come in the silence of the night. 6. You sense their scent or hear their voice when they're not there. You're at home, doing something ordinary, when suddenly you catch a whiff. It's the exact perfume that person used. No one's around, but the scent is so real you stop and look, expecting to see them. They're not there. Days later, something similar happens. You hear a familiar voice, not loud, maybe a whisper, but you felt it. You turn instinctively, and again, no one's there. Jung talked a lot about the power of the unconscious and how emotionally intense experiences leave deep traces in us. These traces aren't just in memory, but in the senses. Their scent, the sound of their voice, their presence in a room. All of it gets etched inside us when there's a strong emotional connection. What's fascinating is that these sensations don't always happen when you're thinking of them. Sometimes they occur when they're thinking of you. Their emotional energy can trigger sensory memories in you, even if you're not aware. Your body reacts before your mind understands. Smell especially is the sense most tied to memory. A single scent can awaken memories dormant for years. If someone is thinking of you intensely, their energy might resonate in you like an emotional echo. The same goes for their voice. Hearing their tone in your mind or in a quiet space isn't always imagination. It could be an active connection. Jung believed the unconscious communicates through symbols and sensations, and your senses are part of that language. So when you smell them or hear their voice alone, ask, why now? What's this experience trying to tell me? Maybe you're not imagining it. Maybe you feel it because somewhere they still carry you with them. 7. Unexplained physical sensations. Chills, tingling, pressure. You're calm, not thinking of anything major, when suddenly a chill runs down your spine. Or you feel pressure in your chest or tingling in your arms. There's no logical reason. It's not cold. You're not stressed. But your body reacts to something invisible yet undeniable. These physical sensations without a clear cause can be signs. Jung believed the mind and body are deeply connected. What we feel emotionally often shows up physically. If someone is thinking of you strongly, with their energy directed at you, you might feel it physically, even without knowing. These sensations aren't always intense. Sometimes they're subtle but distinct. They don't feel like a regular chill or stress-related pressure. They feel emotional, as if your body is reacting to an invisible presence, and maybe it is. When you share a strong emotional connection with someone, your nervous system gets used to their presence, learns their energy. If they focus on you again, even from afar, your body might remember before your mind reasons it out. Jung talked about somatic markers, small physical responses when the unconscious detects something significant. So, if you feel a strange tingling when someone's name crosses your mind, or a wave of energy when you think of them, don't dismiss it. Ask, what was I feeling? Why did my body react like that at that moment? Your body has a memory, and sometimes it knows more than you do because some connections are felt before they're understood. So have any of these things happen to you? Did you dream of someone for no reason? Feel an emotion that wasn't yours? Hear a voice or sense their presence when no one was there? Carl Jung believed we're connected in ways we can't always explain, not just through words or memories, but through energy, symbols, and silent emotions. When someone thinks of you, that energy can touch your life in subtle, profound ways. As Jung said, the meeting of two people is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there's a reaction, both are transformed. Maybe that reaction hasn't faded. Maybe someone, in silence, is still thinking of you. If this video made you think of someone, maybe it wasn't a coincidence. Subscribe if you want more content about the mind, emotions, and what's unseen, and tell me in the comments. Which of these signs have you felt? You're not alone.